I'm John Krewson from Sketch. We're a software development studio in Baldwin. We build software for companies who are looking for opportunities to increase their agility. We do that through pairing with their development teams in their organizations, and then we do a lot of coaching, consulting, training. We have a training facility in Baldwin that allows us to do that for private events and public events. Certified Scrum Master classes, product ownership classes, that sort of thing. As much as I would love to talk to you about that, that's not why we're here today. And by we, I mean myself, John Krewson. This is Calvin Horrell, also with Sketch. We've got Daniel Morante and Kevin Compton here today. We're here to talk to you about a project we've been working on over the last 6 months. Curious, by show of hands, anybody participate in a LeanCafe ever? Okay, great. Someone who built an app. So LeanCafe is basically a format for having a meeting that levels the playing field to make sure that the people who are participating in the meeting get to talk about the things that need to be talked about. Just a quick story about my past as a former director of technology for a prepaid processing company. I used to have a boss who I would dread walking in. Oh yeah, find your light.
There you go.
Yeah, you like that one?
There you go.
Yeah, so I had a boss. I would dread walking into his office because I knew I would not get out in under 20 minutes because he could speak for 20 minutes without taking a breath. So I would be very judicious about when I would walk in. You can imagine that type of person leading a meeting, kind of controlling the meeting. Rarely was it informative for me or was it valuable for me. I kind of wanted to get out of the meeting and get back to work. Later on, I stumbled on this LeanCafe format. As an agile coach, it's really useful. It helps draw out insights from introverts and extroverts. It helps get through a lot of territory in a meeting very quickly so we can cut out the fat and get right back to work. We built a tool around this format. We're going to show it to you right now. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to pull up the tool, and the four of us, me, Calvin, Daniel, and Kevin, we're going to hold a meeting. We're going to hold a meeting about what we want this group to talk about, what feedback we want to get from you. So you guys can watch on the screen as this thing unfolds. Yep,
Is there something else?
Yep. As I can. So this thing's been in development for about 6 months, and I should tell you now, just by way of setting expectations, this is the very first public demonstration of this software. So,
woohoo, we feel special.
wish us luck. Yeah. All right, I'm going to start by logging out of this thing. LeanCafe.io, that's the name of the app. We'll go ahead and get started. That allows me to create an account. I've already got an account though, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And I'm going to sign in with LinkedIn so it knows who I am. I've got a lot of meetings already that I've conducted. Most of those are test meetings. We're going to create a new meeting and we're going to talk about 1 million cups feedback. I'll go ahead and create that meeting. I can view that meeting now. You'll see there's a short code here, which I'm going to zoom in on. I'm going to ask my teammates, Daniel, Calvin, Kevin, to log into this meeting using that short code. Give me the thumbs up when you're logged in. All right, so just so I can see what my meetings look like now, I've got 4 participants in this meeting. Go ahead and view that meeting. So step number 1 in conducting a LeanCafe is to generate topics from the group. We're not walking into this meeting with a predefined agenda. The agenda is going to be sourced from the attendees. So guys, think about the things that you want this group to give us feedback on as they're looking at this app and start popping those in there. So you can see the items that have the delete button, those are the ones that I created, but you can see as I'm watching this thing unfold, imagine this like a board. Typically when you do this with sticky notes and a whiteboard. But we've kind of broadened this out so not everybody even has to be in the same room. And we're getting a list of topics in real time from the group. Our next step here is topic curation. So let's just go one by one here. Use cases. What do you think of the features? How do we monetize this thing? Is it easy to use? Those two things sound similar. So I'm going to click on those two and say those are really the same topic. Let's move on. How do we monetize? Does this solve your problem? Guys, do you think that does this solve your problem and use cases, are those similar, would you say? Or do you think those are different topics that we would want to talk about? You think they're similar? What do you think? Does this solve your problem or use cases? Which one do you want to tackle more closely? Use cases. Let's merge use cases and does this solve your problem? Going to market, marketing approaches, those sound similar. Let's go ahead and merge those two. Target customers, monetization strategy. How do we monetize and monetization strategy? Definitely similar there. Let's go ahead and merge those. Who are our target customers? Would you try this with your team? Use cases. There's another use cases. Let's go ahead and merge those. Suggestions for new features. And what do you think of the features? Sounds like we're collecting quite a list of commonality in our topics here.
Target customers and going to market and here very similar.
Yep. Okay. Going to market and target customers. You want to bucket that into the same discussion? Let's give that a shot. And then usage and brainstorming. Okay, so the idea is that we don't want to talk about the exact same thing over and over and over again. So if we see the same thing, then we can bucket that into the same topic. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this group that has brainstormed on these topic issues, and we're going to decide by going to that topic voting section, what do we want to talk about first? So everybody gets 3 votes. The 4 of us that are logged in are going to get to vote. To me, monetization is the most important, so I'm going to vote for that one. In fact, it's so important that I'm going to vote for it twice. And then I want to talk about going to market. Those are my 3 votes. So that's the way the system is set up. Everybody gets 3 votes. As soon as everybody has voted, and let me know when your 3 votes are in. Everybody's in. Then we are going to head over to the next step, which is to start the discussion. So we can see based on the votes, how do we monetize the number 1 topic that we've decided to discuss? Then what do you think of the features, then going to market, and so on. Let's begin the discussion. We're going to start the timer at 5 minutes. At any time during this discussion, the members of the meeting can decide that we do not want to talk about this thing anymore, so we can move on to the next topic. Or, as we get down to the end of our 5-minute time block for each of these topics, we can say, never mind, we want to add more time to this topic. It's not time yet to move on to the next one. If we're indifferent and it doesn't matter, we don't want to vote whether we start a new topic or keep talking about this one, we can apply our indifference here. So, let's talk about this. At this point, I think it would be appropriate to open this up to the entire group. Can you not hear me?
Oh, no, I'm just taking this.
Oh, good, yeah. So, this is the question for the group. Does anyone have any ideas on monetization? Go ahead.
Free trial.
A free trial? Okay.
That leads to a premium offer that you can monetize.
Yeah. What would you consider to be the premium feature in a tool like this?
Oh, you're on your own.
Oh, I got a hand raised back here.
Something I was going to is, if I were to use this when we were in the same room, I would use Skype or Google Hangout or something like that. So maybe you had a premium feature where you could connect those and overlay them somehow.
So a premium for integrations?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay.
Like Slack.
Yeah, Slack integration, Hangout integration, Skype integration. Interesting. Yeah.
Large political party type dialogues,
Monetizing based on the idea that very large groups of people would be able to use this thing at one time to gather consensus very quickly. So can we talk more specifically about that? Like, what are your thoughts about how you would take advantage of that large group of people to turn this into a profitable product?
Well, when you're talking about monetization, though, you're talking about how does it make money?
Right.
What basis would you price it? Per user, per
Yeah,
use, time,
right.
whatever, right?
Yeah, right. So there's some thoughts that we've thrown out. We could potentially price it per facilitator. So I've got the facilitator's view up here. But Calvin, Kevin, and Daniel have a different view. They have the participant's view.
So it doesn't cost anybody anything to participate.
Yeah, but perhaps it costs a certain amount of money per facilitator, or maybe there are tiers of cost where for the entry level.
Point blank.
Wake it up, it fell asleep.
Thank you. Maybe the entry level is allows you to facilitate a meeting with 6 people, but for a premium subscription, you could run a meeting like you're talking about with 1,000 people.
And perhaps when you've added this large number of people in, maybe they get to vote and you can monetize when they vote, as opposed to just the facilitator and the people that are kind of putting it together. Hey, we created something here. Put your money down if you want to vote on it.
So yeah, so you buy in on the discussion.
From the user experience perspective, I think that's not a smart thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make me pay for something when I don't even know what I'm getting.
And for God's sake, don't make me pay for my voice, because I will just turn to Twitter and I will tear you apart if you make me pay to vote on your topic. So I wouldn't advise that of your clients to charge their meeting participants. I do think the idea of tiered memberships where you can allow more people into the meeting,
Yeah.
and if you have other features that allow people to do things like submit a topic prior to the meeting, I mean, maybe there's pre-meeting facilitation services that could also be a premium.
So we're at the point now where I have to show off another feature. We're down to our last 45 seconds. So at this point, the timer goes off, and we have to decide: is monetization still worth talking about? So if we were in person, we would do a Roman vote. We would count the number of thumbs up. And if the number of thumbs up is more than half the number of people, we'd hit that snooze button and we would keep talking about it. But I see we've got a couple of, well, this keeps changing. It looks like we're going to go ahead and keep talking about it. I'm going to hit that snooze button so we can have 2 more minutes on the topic. So go ahead, and I interrupted you if you want to finish that thought.
No, I think that I was pretty much done, just thinking about, where are the other places where you have service offerings that would be of value to your clients who want to use it to build their reputation, trust, or ability to connect with clients and team members.
So do you have, right now, pre-meeting, like you can set a meeting up, more ahead of time than 30 seconds and sort of, prepare for that? Or
if you think about the genesis of LeanCafe and the format of LeanCafe, the idea is that you can walk into a meeting without an agenda. And you want to walk into a meeting without an agenda, so you're not suppressing the voice of the people that are participating. So it's a specific type of meeting. It's one where we want to hear from the group as much as we want to be heard by the group.
So not an actual agenda or an agenda.
Exactly, right.
So perhaps you could monetize by having people commit parts of their budget, saying, okay, yeah, let's talk about that, let's do that. I'm voting with so many, real budget dollars.
Or perhaps using this as a means to define a budget.
Yeah.
okay. Monetization. Oh, sorry.
So I think the value really for this product is collecting data, and I think like for the facilitator that's really important. So they will pay for the premium because it's collecting data. If on the end user side, if they can just literally just click at least one button, so it's really simple, fast, because like she said, they don't want to take their time to just do anything extra. Just give me yes or no or something like that. And that will make it valuable to the end user, and it's valuable to you because as a facilitator, you are now collecting that data, and I think that's valuable. So the premium should be like you said, okay, if you want to extend it to over 1,000 people that you can collect this data from, this is what it's going to cost you. So,
Thanks.
So, one more. Could a expanded feature be a Kanban? So you've got this card, you've talked about it, now you can put it either in the backlog or move it into the whip, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we're kind of leading into that next topic. I'm going to go ahead and pretend that our thumbs down have exceeded our thumbs up, so we can move on to the next topic. I'm going to hit.
Okay.
I'm going to hit next topic here. What do you think of the features? So that's a good thought. I'll kind of kickstart this idea by saying LeanCafe is not intended to just start and stop at replicating a physical version of Lean Coffee. Right. Ideally, the idea is, the mantra here is that meetings suck.
Right.
And we want to build tools that help people who get trapped in bad meetings and waste time can stop wasting time, and they can have a variety of tools that allow them to create better meetings that don't take as much time, that are more valuable to them, so that they can get back to the thing that they need to be doing. So we're looking for general feedback on what's resonating here, what seems like a waste of time, or what's just generally not a thing.
Well, hello.
I can hear you.
That's what I know. It's for the
okay.
online people. That's okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You made a presupposition that people understand what LeanCafe or Lean Meeting is.
Yeah.
And when I teach project management, I teach meeting management, and I have a real hard time going into a meeting without having an agenda. If I don't have an agenda, why am I bothering to have a meeting?
Why are you bothering to have a meeting without an agenda?
Correct.
I'm curious if anybody else. I mean, I have some thoughts on the question.
The whole idea of a lean meeting is you get there and everybody gets to set the agenda. It's not driven by the organizer necessarily. It's driven by what the group needs to accomplish and wants to accomplish.
Yeah. So this kind of gets back to what Sketch is all about. Sketch is founded on agile values and principles. If you think about the first value, the Agile Manifesto, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. We're all about. We're all about creating an environment that is driven by the people. We believe that there is more value in the individuals of an organization than there are any other aspect of the organization. That includes the process, that includes the tools. The tools that we want to use are ones that generate value from the individuals that are part of it. And if we only create meetings where there is a one-way communication, we are only going to talk about the things that matter to one person, I think we're missing out on a valuable aspect of the organization. That's not to say that this should replace every single meeting that you have. If you have to disseminate information, and the only way that you can disseminate that information is by gathering them together, okay, on occasion I can see why that would be helpful. But if the point is to grow the collective value of the mental power in an organization, this is a powerful approach.
I like the agenda. I like people in the meeting being able to vote up or down on the items, whether we're going to cover them or not. However, the facilitator says, or manager, we have to cover these items, even if the vote is bad.
So, okay, so as a matter of features, to kind of continue this discussion topic, perhaps some ability for the facilitator to ensure that something goes to the top of the list.
How well does it categorize topics over time?
What's that?
How well does it catalog topics over time?
Yeah, what you'll see, so over time, that's a good point. What you'll see when we're done with this, there will be a summary at the end that says, we talked about this, it got this many votes, and here's how long we talked about it. You can see that we've got some notes that you can take, and per topic, you'll see those notes attached to the topic. But that's per meeting. That's a good point, that there may be some synthesis opportunity from meeting to meeting that we're talking about the same thing.
Which brings me to the idea of logging, because I remember as a developer in 1990 in Minneapolis, some bugs would come back up after a month. And they'd come back up 2 months later again. And there was anger going back and forth in these 12 and 18 people meetings of, well, but it's not working, and I'm up until the middle of the night, so that you can have a log, so you can go back and say, what did we cover then?
Yeah.
Of everything that you have there.
Yeah, and we'll see that on once we finish this phase of the meeting, we'll see that in the summary. I like that. Yeah.
Maybe a feature where not necessarily, so you're on a topic and each participant is able to take notes on it. Maybe they don't want to talk about it, but they hear someone else say it and they jot down a note, and those are recorded as well.
Yep.
For the summary at the end.
Great. And we got Paul up front too.
And so per topic, is it also categorized as frequent terms used? Like if we were talking about national parks, would it tabulate the amount of times that we said trees?
Wow.
Like, and give us like a list of most commonly said terms during the dialogue?
So are you suggesting that it's listening?
Yes, it's listening and recording and tabulating most frequently used words.
So maybe
in each topic.
maybe to start a transcript.
Yes.
Huh, okay.
Are there any sort of search features now?
No. There's my ding. We've got one up and one down. We need a majority to move on to the next topic, so we'll go ahead and snooze it. And we've got two thumbs down. I do want to talk about this some more, but because we've got the two thumbs down, we're going to go on to the next topic, which is going to market. So the question here is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the book Traction. Like he talks about 17 or 19 marketing channels. Curious if any of you have any immediate thoughts about where this thing could be most visible to gain the most traction and to get interest.
Yeah, and it relates to what I was going to ask about, and that is I was involved in a very large project re-architecting a cloud-based backend, and we did it in a room with 3 people and millions of sticky notes. The problem is, number one, not a lot of that, there's no audit trail, there's no record because we were moving sticky notes around the walls and the windows. That's number one. Number two, the more valuable stuff was in the rationale discussions we had about those items. So is there a way to capture audio? So the go-to-market part of it would be, how do you find developers who already are embracing lean concepts? Because I'll tell you, having been a lean advocate, some people say they like lean, and then when you have them start doing it, they didn't have a clue what they were talking about. But so how do you identify developers who lean towards lean and provide a valuable tool to them, and how much functionality do you need to get those first adopters, right? That's the go-to-market part.
Okay. And then once we do, let's suppose that we do identify those developers. Is there something in here that could make it sticky enough that they would want to use it again, or they would want to send it to a friend and allow it to spread? We've got a thought over here too.
With your MVP kind of thing where you say, okay, well, that's what we're putting out here, but if you're doing it kind of open source or part of it until you can find out what's sticky and what can be paid for, you know, Eric Rees and Lean Publishing and such, then you could have people vote on it and say, well, I would pay on that, and based on the votes, that you could take that out and go to market with it.
That's very meta.
I think like social media is like a big play in this because like with the people, end user, they want their voice to be heard. You want data. So I think if you really make those channels where like Facebook, where you can quickly share it, I think that would make it very, very effective because people can just literally just say, okay.
Can you give me an example?
Okay, there's a company, Zoom, they do video conferencing. And so they use something similar where you can, it's integrated to like Facebook and different other sites where that facilitator is paying to be put out to all these people, and then like Facebook, it ends up on Facebook Live, where people can then give feedback. Just straight live. So
it's interesting, and it kind of leads into this use cases kind of a thing. It sounds like we're having a couple of different discussions, which is great because it opens our ears up to a use case that we hadn't considered. It's almost as if you're suggesting that this is open to anyone who would want to participate, that we don't necessarily determine who the participants are. So I'm seeing two distinct use cases. One where we're in an organization, we have 5 people that need to gather to discuss some sort of topic. You're the 5 people. And from that, we determine the best route to take as it relates to this topic. But then you're talking about something different where there's a topic that needs to be discussed by a community.
Yes.
And anyone in the community who wants to contribute at this time can take advantage of this format.
Yes, because I believe somebody would talk about something with political or something.
Yeah.
A lot of times that generates large responses, which is just important to the person, whoever's facilitating the conversation.
Cool.
Other
Thank you. Where are we on, are we good on time?
I suppose
48
another,
seconds, 47.
another go-to-market.
I'm involved in equity crowdfunding, but just standard donor or rewards-based crowdfunding might be good, and people could be voting on your features and give you a list of what they like or not during the campaign on that list of, hey, yeah, do this, don't do that.
Okay.
Dave? So there's a meeting in town called Product Camp every year.
Yeah.
And part of the idea of Product Camp is people propose sessions, so it's attendee driven. And then one year we tried to use an app and it was a disaster. So we invented a new technology called paper. So we figured out, and that's what they've been using. So each participant gets a certain number of stickers.
Yeah.
And so you go and you vote on the sessions, and then those are the ones that are then scheduled. But your platform would be perfect for that. You already have the voting limitation part. But that kind of a hack, a meeting where there's 1,000 people, right? And unconferences in the Bay Area are the mode right now. So it would be a really interesting kind of go-to-market, go offer it free to these kinds of meetings, especially because most of them are tech or developer driven.
Right. Yeah. As an agilist who attends a lot of agile conferences, you've kind of given me a thought there. What do you think about the idea where at a conference there's usually a sub-conference or a conference within a conference that is a lot less structured? This might be a good tool to manage something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
The one thing that you would have to think about if you go back more to the community engagement and having people voting is how are you going to control and make sure that it's not a bot doing the voting?
Right.
Just as a thing, so we don't have some people taking.
Yeah, you mean if there's a large political discussion, how do we prevent Russia from getting in and doing all the voting?
Or whomever.
You
Yes.
could authenticate people with their voice.
And even with comments, you know, like it's
Yeah,
a little
right.
bit more like
Just a thought.
Yes.
the 2-second delay, you know, to
Yeah.
catch the stuff that.
Right. Yeah. So maybe a moderation feature.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I thought I saw a couple other hands.
You need to snooze it.
So I'm a student down at Missouri S18. One of the things I was thinking of is we have recitations where we'll have huge 200, 300 people lecture halls, and it'll say, okay, who has questions? And so absolutely nobody knows, what questions everyone else has, and they think their question is stupid. But if you had something like this,
Wow.
you could put it up, and then everyone could vote, yeah, I need that question answered in more detail. You might not be able to monetize it as well if it's to the schools, but when the schools start using it, the students start using it too.
Yes.
So,
And if
get
we're
student views.
talking about paying per facilitator, that might maybe be per professor, and maybe a school or a university would be able to purchase some sort of a package, maybe. Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and I want to get to the end.
Yeah.
I want to show you what that last
Yes,
page
yes.
looks like. And are we running out of time?
Yeah, and I have facilitator override or whatever feature that we haven't talked about to say 1 million cops can't go on all morning.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
So I tell you what, I'll go ahead. We can do a free-form discussion after this is done. I just want to show you what it looks like when the meeting is finished. We basically get to see who voted for what at the end. We get to see topic duration eventually, and we would get to see eventually the number of. I can do a refresh and show it. Yeah, so we can see how long we talked about each topic, and we can see the topics that did not get. Yeah. Yeah, we can see if we didn't talk about a particular topic, we could end it before we've talked about every topic. You can see what didn't get talked about. We talked just this morning about perhaps being able to load those topics into the next time you have a meeting, and those show up at the top.
In evidence of trends, we didn't talk for 15 minutes about that stupid topic. Yes, we did. See,
Yeah,
it's right there in front of
right.
you. Don't tell me we didn't.
Right.
You know.
And yeah, I didn't take any notes, but any notes that I did take would have shown up underneath that feature.
I just walk back here for no reason? Okay. Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Did you have something?
No,
I didn't mean to cut you
we're
off.
good. I just wanted to make sure we got to see the whole thing, but if there are any other, any comments, I got one here and here.
Oh my gosh.
We've got a
Dave.
comment over
what
here.
The heck? Cut you off.
I'm thinking at some point, because somebody's going to want to go hack it, say, no, we did, 15 minutes, look, right there, if you put it on blockchain.
I didn't realize you guys were down there. I would have grabbed it a second ago. I kind of have a totally different take on this a little bit myself personally. What I would see here would be big groups that have a decision to make. So unions that are making a vote, or stockholders in every major public company have a meeting every year, right? They have to vote on all sorts of different things. So boom, they get some code, they go and they're a Coca-Cola investor. If they want to vote on this thing, they can. Another thing would be, my brother does a lot of like major conventions and conferences and things like that. One of the things they do at the end of all those is they survey everybody that was there. How was your booth? How was the show? What could we have done differently? That's thousands and thousands of individuals that are part of these huge shows. Like some of the ones that come here through town, they bring in 5,000 people.
Yeah.
I think that's where your money is being able to pay, having somebody like that paying for the ability to reach out to their membership.
So help me understand that situation a little better. Is that a situation where you could follow those distinct phases and say, now is the time when we get your feedback, immediately following, now is the time when we get your votes, and then we can
What I would
discuss
do
it?
on something like that is you have a timer on there anyway. We'll set a timer and it's 5 hours or it's a day or it's whatever time limit you want to put. When an event's over, they've got 5 hours to give their feedback, let's say. If there's a vote for, stockholders need to vote on something, well, you've got the next 12 hours to vote on these 5 proxies or whatever the case may be. If you're a union, you want to get your vote in, okay, this is your day that you have to do it. 8, maybe beforehand you could kind of put your comments too, so everybody else gets to see them. But I'd look at really, really big groups.
Yeah.
I think individuals, that's great to test your features and things like that. But I don't think they're going to be the ones that pay you the big bucks. How many public companies are there?
Right.
So,
Thanks.
So just building on his idea, because I think there are tools out there for vote facilitation and that sort of general meeting facilitation, but where this may be able to be a differentiator is that you have open, facilitated conversation on these topics going on during the 5 or 12-hour voting period. You have a facilitator every single minute, and people get online, and if 5 people say, hey, I want to talk about this line item number 4A, that says that I'm giving up an extra day of vacation or whatever, then you get a consensus of people and you discuss it, and maybe that helps them make a more informed vote. But you have to have something that differentiates it.
Sure.